I wish good things to you, to the first person who's watching this. I am Alexei from the Latvian and Lithuanian national team, and today's a big Carcassonne. Today's a big day in Carcassonne. Russia against Japan, final match. Obviously, both teams don't need too much introduction, but we will do that anyway because before the match starts, we got some stats on the two teams from our teammates that might shed light on what we might expect today. Oh, by the way, also let me know in the chat if like everything's good, video, sound. I can tweak things. Still relatively new to this, so uh, unsure about anything. Alrighty, so Japan had a I don't want to say an easy tournament, but they were confident throughout. They lost only one game in the on the group stage. That was to the UK, and even that was super close. There was a deciding match, and that was a tie. But the British player started second, so the win was the win for that game and for that duel, and as a consequence for that match, was given to Japan. And all the other group stage matches they won, even against their toughest opponents, which means that they didn't have to play in the qualifying round for the quarterfinals, and they started with the quarterfinals straight away. That was a nail biter against Czech Republic. It also came down to one last game, when they managed to come on top. Catalonia also was a close match, even though Japan grabbed the early 3-1, I think. Catalonia managed to win games out of 12, which is almost half. So even the much feared Japan didn't have an easy journey, although they were demonstrating increased confidence. Russia, on the other hand, had a very interesting tournament. In group stages, they were maybe not that confident due to an early loss of Portugal. So for them, the playoff started much earlier. They managed, in order to qualify for this, they had to win against Hungary, and they did win a very difficult match, which was also won 3-2, and there was a deciding game, and the Russian player drew the Hungarian player, but because the Russian player again started started second, the win for that game and for that duel and for this match was for Russia. So after that, also similar scenario to Mexico, very close match. They were trailing by 0-2 early on, and then managed to rally back. And if you look at this, they even have so even though Russia won fewer games, they actually ended up winning the match. Well, then they then this I don't want to talk about too much. So they knocked out our team, but I think we gave them a good fight, and it was also a close match as well. So Russia just been playing 3-2 almost whole tournament, except for the semifinals against Romania, which ended up being pretty one-sided, despite the valiant efforts of one of the Romanian top players, G. Rapa, who managed to win one game and almost win another game from the Russian world champion and their team captain, someone you know. Still, a 5-0 sweep probably is going to give them momentum for the final. Although Japan, I'd say would be still the favorite, because the main reason for that is Japan already won this tournament. They won the match last year. Many of you will have seen that match as well, and there was that was relatively close. That was 3-2. Also, Japan ended up winning the last game. And to be honest, today I will be disappointed if the result is anything other than 3-2 for one team or the other. It has to be a very close match. But as you see here, Russia maybe just lost one more game, which is not that relevant at that point. It's only this game that matters. both Russia and Japan are at the top of the tournament leaderboard when it comes to the percentage of their duels won. So these individual micro matches between um, individual team members. Japan, of course, slightly more on top with 70% against Russia's 66%. Same goes with games won. Um, Also, Japan, one of the won 63% of the games, which is one of the leading statistics in this tournament. Also, Japan has won their individual games a little bit more convincingly. As you see, the average point difference was 3.4 for Russia. So most of the games were really close, while it's a little bit more confident for Japan with 7.4. And this is something I talked about before. So talk about either luck or perseverance. But Russia managed to win 4 games with draws. So basically, it's when there's a draw. Oh, interesting. Ever you could well, it says the Russia could be a slight favorite. Maybe. So I have to be honest. Like as since I'm speaking an international language, I will have to try and be impartial. But maybe I am slightly rooting for one of the teams, and you might guess which one if you read the channel description. But anyway, also so far in their journey you can see some similarities. Russia having very close matches, 3-2 wins, 3-2 losses. It's roughly similar for Japan, but their victories were more on the decisive side in the group stage, so they might be not as tired as Russia there at the moment, because the matches were not as training. Also, Russia played more matches than than any other team in the tournament, due to the group stage that they were assigned and the fact that they had to play the qualifying round to get into the playoff. This is an interesting one. So we have a race for the tournament MVP, and we have a Russian player over here and the Japanese player over here as contenders. Pintatron didn't lose any duels and any games, in fact. Although unlike the Russia's captain, he didn't play every game, but still, that is a formidable statistic. And as you see over here, game over from Romania. Also, very impressive performance with 9 duels won, and the only duel lost was 1-2 against a Russian player when there was a 5-0 sweep. Yeah, but one thing that definitely catches my eye is this so actually this is something I didn't expect from Pintatron at all, because even though he is widely regarded as possibly the best player on the planet at the moment, he tends to win with small point differences because he likes to control the game in other ways rather than just getting big points. But over here, 23.7, that's just so much more massive even than the other MVP contenders. So we'll definitely try to have a peek at one of his games, I hope. This is also an interesting thing that shows how close the game actually were. So if you see, both Japan and Russia won most of their games or lost most of the games with a 0 to 5 point difference, especially Japan. So it just shows that maybe even in those matches where the result was 5-0, the actual games were themselves closer than than the score might suggest, due to these small point differences. Um, Now, if you look at the squad, both absolutely formidable names, several master level players on the list in both teams. Japan maybe has distributed their forces a little bit more evenly. So, unlike Russia's captain, who played all 10 games and took it upon himself, Japan had a very interesting strategy where they let everybody play, almost. I don't know how exactly they chose players. I think that was a decision made by their captain Genro Fujimoto, who, by the way, played only 2 games, apparently saving himself for the last one because he is on the lineup today. And Russia, to the best of my knowledge, has been having selection tournaments every game. So this means that all these guys who've played, Artur Kontrabayev and Mikhail Rus, maybe Mikhail Rus, for example, wasn't having the best tournament because he lost quite a bit of duels, maybe, but he bounced back against Romania, and more importantly, he keeps qualifying for every match anyway. So we'll definitely hope to look at a little bit at his game as well. And this is finally our pairing. Oh no, this is not actually the pairing. The pairing is a little bit different. It's just the list over here. So as you see, both world champions in the team are with with a massive dual win percentage over there, leading their teams. As I said, Michael Rust that didn't have the best tournament perhaps, but in last year's final he defeated Pinjatron. So I'd say that he would be the favorite in his pairing, and this is actually how the pairing goes. As you can see, four masters on Russia's side and one almost master, uh, and three masters on Japan's side, including the all-time ELO leader and world champion Takafumi Mochizuki Pinjatron. Also, Osunomaru, very strong player. Coco Traps maybe didn't achieve the Masters rating on board game arena just yet, but also a very strong player. I saw him play in the semifinals, and he demonstrated some really high quality card. Also, he played in last year's finals, and he managed to beat one of the top players in the world at the moment, Mujacello, who used to play for Russia, but now he's playing in our team, and would like to keep him. Thank you very much. And the only, and of course, the only person on the team not to have achieved a Master 700 rating on Board Game Arena is a world champion. So just both sides look so much formidable. Yeah, and that's it. So we have to pick a duel to look at. Alrighty. Okay, I've been told that I'm back. Not just sure what happened there. But yeah. But we're back with this, and I think we'll need to get to watch the game. Sorry if you missed some statistics. Maybe just feel free to add in the chat. I'm happy to go over all of this stuff prepared by my teammates again. And let's just go to the games. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Whatever. Come on. Someone, you. Yes, someone we all know. This is by a rematch from last year, because the players clashed in the last year's finals, and I think someone Vladimir Kovalov, ended up winning that duel. I'm surprised that players have made already quite a lot of moves. Already played 15 tiles in just 2 minutes. I expect most of these players to play quite slowly. Oh, interesting over here. Progressive top line doesn't take this ruin over here, and someone is happy to grab 5 points. We'll get to the position just in a second. But yeah, I just wanted to say that I would expect most Japanese players to play actually very slow. I've played with a few of them. I haven't played so much with progressive top line, but with Pintatron and with Kithara, who for some reason is not playing today. I'd say probably the second or third best Japanese player at the moment. They tend to think quite a long time, even on some obvious moves, and then they end up doing something else, and then it's ends up winning them the game. Anyway, so what do we have here? Early on, a couple of blocked cities over here and over here, but progressive top line with the upper hand because someone has one more meeple blocked, which would be very interesting to see. So there was an interesting game that I recommend that I recommend checking out is from the group stage, the last game of the match. Russia against Hungary. There, the captain, someone ended up in a position where he had a lot of his meeples blocked, and I think demonstrated a lot of discipline in meeple management, and ended up winning that game with a bit of luck. But with very careful meeple placement, when he was so short on meeples, he managed to actually get himself in a position where he could still hope for that luck. So let's see if we see something here. At the moment, the meeple advantage of progressive top line doesn't look that drastic, and it is quite a close position. So there are no big fields or very large features where players would require to invest a lot of meeples. This definitely favors the side that has fewer meeples because they're likely to run into fewer problems. Although here, potentially, if this city closes, there would be a 9-point field over here. On the other hand, this city is now under massive attack from when you have two tiles like this and so much area over here. It's very easily blockable. So for example, with this tile, progressive top line puts it over here, and actually someone have too many saving tiles. Which is why he probably just gave up on the city. And now what he will hope, unless he manages to miraculously save it, for which the probabilities are not on his side at the moment, is if he gets, for example, a triple city like this or a quadruple like this, or the big city with 4 sides, he can put it over here and then just start expanding this ruin to maybe some 10, 11, 12 points. By the way, let me put the score over here. Alrighty. Now, what do you do with this tile if you're someone you know? See, well, actually, several good moves. One is you can either start a ring road somewhere. You can do it here, although there may be not too many curves left. Or you can do it here, perhaps. You can maybe attempt blocking this monastery, which I rather like. Well, we'll see what someone you don't know does here. Of course, there's always this 6-point field, but when you are at a meeple disadvantage, that would be really a mistake committing yourself to just one meeple remaining this early. And actually, if someone manages to block over here, he will almost equalize his meeple advantage. So I like this move, but he chooses a ring road instead, which is also understandable. So now it's a little bit less protected than if he started over here. But on the other hand, there are more tiles that allow him to finish this road. For example, he can use a crossroads like this, and even if he gets a Interesting move. I'll comment on that in just a second. If he gets a curve with a city, then he'll be able to put some attack over here, which is not that high probability, but there is a run out. There is a scenario where an attack from here might actually give some productive results, because there's the tile over here potentially. This is just one tile. There's still six of those left. It's not blockable to a probability under 50%, which basically means it's not really blockable at the moment. All right, another monastery for progressive top line. Now, actually, I like progressive top line's position quite a bit more. And now someone you know's got to think. What do you do with this? So for example, there. Yeah, ideally he would want to draw this tile a little bit later, maybe after he finishes the ring road and starts a city attack over here. Because now there's really no value in putting it over here, because he would just be giving away 2 points. Which is why he just chooses to prevent progressive top line from getting this small city over here. By the way, that was quite an interesting move from progressive top line, that he left the city open. The standard move over here when he was taking these 2 points would be to turn the tile the other way, but apparently maybe he thought that by completing this city he would or when the city got completed by either someone or progressive top line, this could create an attacking square for the city over here. But it doesn't matter anymore, because someone got actually quite lucky over here a few minutes ago. There's just so much going on in this game. I can't possibly comment on everything. I mean, they're playing so fast, which I did not expect at all. We barely started, and half of the game is almost over. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting moves over here from progressive top line. I wonder why do this and not finish the city. Oh, I see why. So several interesting things has happened. First of all, someone has managed to secure the city, and there's still one tile is out, and if I'm not mistaken, there's still two tiles that go there, so 75% chance. And also the thing is, progressive top line really, really wants to get a curve or some tile over here in order to prevent someone from finishing the city with the meeple on the field. And actually, if he finishes the city and puts a meeple on the field, I think someone wins the game. And if he doesn't, then he probably loses the game because of these formidable monasteries over here. Now, I'm really not sure at all about progressive top line's decision to throw in the last meeple like this, because there will be value lost over here. For example, there's some city caps over here and over here that you want to have a meeple to pick up. And the thing is, if someone end up drawing this meeples, he'll pick up this stuff up. And yes, they are on progressive top line's land, but still he'll get slightly more points for it, first. And second, he still has the meeples to join this field if he needs to. If progressive top line doesn't retrieve his monastery meeples soon enough. And I think the main risk over here is that he needs the same types of tiles everywhere. You need a city over here, and pretty much another monastery over here, or another city over here. Because you can't really stick in a curve here. Otherwise, you'll just be limiting yourself to this option. Someone loves these ruins, grabs 5 points. Probably going to end up being more points. And also, I very much like when these kind of ruins have a short piece of road sticking into them, because if he gets one of these tiles, he can put it over here and get 2 points of extra value. This is actually one of the factors that comes into mind when I think whether to take a ruin or not is whether I can get any additional points to it. So, for example, I'm more likely to take it if it's next to an opponent monastery, because he'll have to finish the ruin for me, or I'm more likely to take it if there are roads sticking into it. Yeah, you see what's happening. So, someone is just grabbing cities near progressive top line's monastery. So that was worth 6 points. Although actually that was worth only 1 point, because you add 3 points to progressive top line field, and you're also adding 2 points to his monasteries. And now comes the block. Yeah, and now comes the save. Still 75% chance to retrieve those monasteries. But the thing with those chances is these 75% include the scenario where he gets the monastery on the last tile, and thus he doesn't have the chance to play his meeples again on the last move. So I still can't believe why the opponents are playing so fast. I thought there were a lot of decisions to be made. This is I like this move by someone you know. By the way, it kind of looks natural, but the thing, what he does a lot with these big cities is that he starts a ruin with the intention of never completing it, just getting points. Oh, there goes the first one. And the question is, we'll get to the ruin thing later. But the decision now is: does someone grab the 8 points over here or not, or shall he just put it somewhere else? And the answer is, of course, not, because. Yes, even though it's 8 points, you'll be giving your opponent 2 meeples. It's just too much. You can score way more than 8 points with 2 meeples. So I think what he's thinking at the moment is how to extract value from this tile somehow. Actually, I have an idea. What if we put it over here? That way it prevents progressive top line from joining these fields over here and allows someone to finish this city with tempo. If these tiles are still in play, well, one of them was drawn by progressive top line, so 75% turns into 50%. And we have our first result over here, but we'll get to that in just a second. Oh yeah, well now progressive top line managed to get 2 meeples on each side, and it's now looking much better for them. Okay, so if it's someone you have to somehow get into this field, and in order to win, you have to win. You probably have to get 2 meeples into this field, and also finish the city for which there still should be a 50% chance. Yeah. But on the other hand, there's this field with 6 points, and he wastes no time. Yeah, he can't afford these fields to be connected. Of course, if you're progressive top line, what do you do? Do you grab 4 points over here, or do you throw in the field? People, I like the 4 points, because the thing is, like, even if you lose the fields, you can probably still have the compensation in the form of monasteries. Finally, he has it. So this move now turns out to be a little bit unfortunate for someone because he spent an extra tile on claiming this field over here, while maybe with this tile he could have placed it over here. All right, now someone now or never over here, because we need to win that field. Oh, another option, maybe take the 8 points. I like the 8 points more. Maybe we can take this field a little bit later, because we can also claim this field. But it's now 9. I mean, it's just so much. And why didn't progressive top line claim this field? Instead he went for 4 points, which is kind of greedy. But there's just so much stuff lying around, and there's just not enough meeples and not enough moves to take everything. I mean, it's yeah. That's kind of. I'm actually really not sure what to do here. So there's 1, 3. There's 3 good moves. One good move is take the field for 9. Second good move is grab a city for 8, which is my favorite move, just because you still have meeples to play. And third move is fight for this 15-point field over here. And he grabs the field. So that's just so that progressive top line doesn't get it. But it's understandable move. Very difficult to make a decision at the moment. Maybe I like the 8-point city a little bit more, just because it's so many points, and there would still be an opportunity to join this field, maybe depending on which kind of tiles are remaining. Progressive. But on the other hand, what someone did this move is that he drastically. What someone did with this move over here is that he drastically reduced the value of this tile for progressive top line. Because had he taken. Wait a minute. This is a very interesting field in the sense that it actually doesn't have any patches of green coming out of it. So it's not very easy to take this at all. So, for example, progressive top line could not have taken this field with this tile regardless. So in theory, someone could have taken these 8 points and then grabbed later. In the meantime, the Japanese player 3106 wins with a 50-point difference, and then Pintatron wins with a 40-point difference. So far it just looks, I mean, completely crushing for Russia. And now these monasteries. Oh, these monasteries with the 15 points over here. Probably going to give progressive top line the game, and he has one more meeple left, and he can grab 5 points over here. 5 quick points, and then play this meeple again, and maybe again. So we're not sure how to comment on the play of players. It's really, really difficult to assess because they're playing so unexpectedly fast, which I think might be a mistake in this case. I mean, it's a complicated position. I mean, they're both world champions, of course, but maybe for either side there had to be a good move somewhere. Maybe some risky opportunity for calculated risk taking that could have been taken advantage of. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure about this move at all. Maybe he calculated the tiles. Like if there's nothing but curves left, then of course it's a good move. But okay, if you're someone you know, what do you do actually? The thing is, like, if there's only curves left, then by connecting this meeple over here, you kind of relinquish the field. Well, I think he might be now thinking which meeple to connect actually. Anyway, so now what basically what's going to happen is he'll just calculate all the remaining tiles, and he should use the remaining 40 seconds to check all the remaining tiles, and that's pretty much it. So depending on that, he would either have to connect his upper meeple or his lower meeple. That's interesting that he connects it here. I wonder why not here with an opportunity to block, but maybe he calculated that there was the last curve, in which case he didn't need to block, in which case this move doesn't make sense to me. Well, we'll see what the outcome is, but it looks like progressive top line might have won it anyway. Yes, so someone has plus 15 on fields, but can't wait. Someone won. Wow. So that's I actually wonder. So that was an 11-point difference, and what progressive top line did here, apparently he calculated that this stuff wouldn't be enough for him, and he just put his meeple over here to hope for a curve for the 50% chance. But I think what he could have done instead, if he just grabbed the 5 points over here, this would already be -6 instead of -11. He would still have meeple left to grab this monastery over here and score 9 points. And this would have been enough for him to win the game with a difference of 2 points. This is one of those classic examples when you're leading, you don't have to fight for fields. When you have to, I really think that this was a bit of an unnecessary risk and might have given away the game over here. Because if you think about it, 11-point difference, like all you need to do is take 5 points over here and try to score 6 points somewhere else. Is it doable? Probably. I don't know. I mean, I can understand this for sure, 50% chance, but well, definitely something to think about. Anyway, so now Russia, and it's so far looks like the repetition of last year's scenario. Someone winning again, and we'll be looking at the game shortly. Let me just update the score for you real quick. Still 0-0, but Japan 2 games ahead, and 2 massive games ahead. I mean, 50-point difference. Come on, that's thing. Ooh, And now Oshirimaru wins. So we need to do updates. Okay, so one thing I kind of don't like that these two guys are playing so quickly that I can barely keep track of their action, but still very high level Carcassonne, very interesting to watch. So let's just keep with those. And if this duel ends early, we get to see somebody else. Alrighty, let me just go back to community. Yeah, my teammates just keep sending updates about the score, which means that so much things is happening. Oh, it's the same thing about Osimaru winning against Mik. Interesting. Mikhail is the fastest player, but finished his game the last pretty much. Anyway, at least we get to see the game from this now, sort of. Ooh, and now Coco Traps wins against Artur Kontrabayev, which was expected because he was the favorite in this duel. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure who was the favorite, but he showed some excellent playing in the last year's final and in this game's and in this year's semifinal. Ooh, but actually now it it is maybe too early to say anything, but when someone gets 3 monasteries like this, he's just almost unstoppable. Um, yeah, it's quite some luck over here. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the very start. Oh, they're committed to a city in the Pinter Games. Did you ever? Did you mean like 7 meeples on one side or 7 meeples in total? Because 7 on one side would be pretty massive. I am very tempted to look at the Pinder game, but no. Otherwise, won't make sense of anything. But please keep sending us stuff at what's happening interesting in the other games, because even if we don't cover the all actions live, I was thinking of doing some analysis videos afterwards and then uploading them to the channel as regular videos. So if there's a game that you think that you'd like reviewed and you think would be interesting, then please let me know. I'll happily look at it afterwards and talk some about it. But yeah, so as I was saying, I saw very few games. Okay, now 8 meeples total. Yeah, that's would be interesting to watch. As I said, I've seen when someone gets 3 monasteries, I rarely saw him lose, even when they're good blocks. And in fact, it's just so much points. I wonder who got this monastery over here. Maybe that was a missed chance, perhaps, taking the road instead of a monastery, because now it looks in a very good place. Based on what's happened, I'm pretty sure that was progressive top lane rather than someone because I think someone tends to meeple this stuff pretty quickly. Also has a very threatening looking city over here. This hole fills in very easily, actually. Maybe now he's thinking whether to commit himself to this tile over here and to a 75% chance of finishes. Nah, just goes for the 2 points. Maybe I like this move a little bit better. But the thing what this does is that this still opens a joining square over here. The problem for someone with a city over here is that there's not really a good opportunity to save it definitively, because this tile is out and this tile is out, and if you limit yourself to one of these tiles, then if you limit yourself to one of these tiles, which he gets now anyway, so he'll just gonna put it here. Yeah, of course. Then you give yourself a 75% chance. But normally, of course, you want to limit yourself to 3 tiles rather than 2 tiles to give yourself 87%, which is really the standard move in such games. Oh, but now someone also with quite lucky draws. So the thing is, like, of course, this hole is easily fillable, and this hole is easily fillable. But normally would expect this to be done a little bit later. And was he going to meeple the road? It looks like a yeah. Of course he is. And now there's a threat. If somebody gets a curve, they put it over here. And of course, progressive top line will now go over here and kind of neutralize this road and also save his big road over here. I think it's almost an automatic move at this point. But let's say if progressive top line drew a curve like this, then what you do, you also put it over here and put a meeple with a decent chance. Okay, that's also a move. I like this more because now this road will belong to someone and now but and yeah, now progressive top line doesn't get to share the points. So the only thing that he should be thinking right now is which part to sort of save complete first, this one or this one. He opts to just get his meeple back sooner with the risk of losing these five. Okay, I don't know why progressive top line wouldn't put it over here, because this is still quite an easy fillable hole, and you definitely want to take these 5 points away from the opponent. Based on this and based on the previous one, I think I like a little bit more what someone is doing. I think he's being a little bit more precise, and also putting a little bit more thought. I wonder, like, progressive top line is playing quite quickly. Well, I see what his point was. Probably he didn't take the 5 points over here because he wanted to still have a chance to block this. But the thing is, it's not as blockable. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe he has a point actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, yeah. So 7 curves already out. Well, instead, someone goes for the extra valuable 3-point field, which is fine. It's going to be 6 points soon, and it has patches of green to develop it, and it's nice to have a field anyway. What if it's someone you might. Okay, which moves could you consider? You might want to go here to start harassing this city. Uh, Interesting. And then you grab another one. Actually, why not? Yeah, it's automatically turns out to be a 6-point field. That is quite interesting. Okay, I think I gotta update the results a little bit while the players are playing, because Coco Traps won his game. Yeah, so far it's looking really good for Japan, which is right. Which is why if Russia stands a chance, is that has to do his job and the game over here, because you're not gonna win this duel. Then which ones are they gonna win? At the moment, those look. It indeed looks like Russia's getting the upper hand of this. Yes, maybe he has fewer meeples, but the investments are good. 8 points over here, 8 points over here, with a chance to complete it. Which is why I wasn't really sure about when progressive top line made this move over here. I generally, because the thing is, yes, it reduces the probability of completing this monastery to 50-50. But the thing is, like, you're kind of almost giving 50% of the game away on the spot, because, like, if someone draws this monastery, I think there's just no way he's losing a game. He gets 18 points and meeple back. It's just, what else are you going to do? In the meantime, progressive job's doing a really good job in restricting someone fields, although spending some tiles, not very useful tiles, or maybe somewhat useful because they could be spent on ruins. Well, actually, he managed to do this with really just he managed to do this with basically just one tile, which is really impressive. Yeah, very very good move over here from progressive top line. But here's an interesting thing. So I was talking about this block over here earlier, which may or may not work. Maybe progressive top line thought he was so far behind that he is okay with kind of giving himself a 50% chance of losing a game because he thought that it was too bad. I think, though, if you leave this empty, then at the very least there's a chance, first of all, for the opponent to do this himself, or for the opponent, if the opponent draws the monastery, then this would still be blockable. But now what you did is you kind of is you built up this monastery a little bit, and then you built up this monastery a little bit. So I don't know about this. Also, actually, I've noticed I've played with progressive top line once, and he also did the same thing. Committed my monastery to 50%, and I was lucky to just get the get the 50%er, and yeah. And the general thing I notice about Japanese players, so obviously it's probably the best team in the world at the moment. They know what they're doing, but it's not just progressive top line. It's wait, what is someone you know? Oh, I think someone you know is commenting on his luck over here. But it's not massive luck. It's just 50%. Like it's really a coin flip, and it was okay. So now he's going to win the game. We'll just look at we'll just look at it at the end. I don't think there's really anything what you can do as progressive top line over here. I'm on 4 monasteries. This field here is 9 points. Okay, well maybe develop this field somehow. No, but still, what's going to end up happening is that someone will leave this field alone. He'll just grab quick points over here, take a small road maybe for 5 points, grab a ruin here and there, maybe over here or something, and well, he'll just he'll just start putting his meeples on stuff now that he has them back. Ooh, and Japan has their first big point with 3106 winning against Serg, which was expected, although I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Now let's just update the score. Ooh! Oh, we missed a thing. Apparently, if in that city with a thousand meeples, 71st won a very high point scoring game against Pindutron. I probably will have to start looking at the decider over there. This is this is massive. 144. I guess this might have been a really gigantic city. Okay, now it's 552 and 10. So many things to talk about, so little time. Okay, question to you guys: do we watch this game until the end, or do we go to the decider between Pindutron and 71st right now? And I'll just be updating score real quick. So I'll guess let's stick around here for just a second, or maybe I'll keep this tab open. But the interesting thing about Japanese players, not just progressive top line and but other players such as Pindutron and especially Kithara. Okay, we have one vote for right now. Okay, I want to do this because the thing is, like, this is just so one sided. I mean, you can't kind of really blame progressive top line for a lot of things over here. It's 4 monasteries is 4 monasteries. I'll keep this tab open, and we'll do sneak peeks for just a second. But but a decider is a decider, and we didn't get to see Pindutron. Okay, so as I was saying, Japanese players, unlike players from many other countries, very often do incomplete blocks. So when I decide whether to block or get value or do something else with that tile, I opt for block when I know that either with this tile or for the next tile, I can create an unfillable hole and make 100%, basically make it a 0% probability for the opponent to retrieve his meeple. I don't do a lot of 50-50s, especially with monasteries, because very often with blocking your opponent, you give him extra value by adding points to his features, and just generally. Okay, Pindutron draws a massively lucky tile at the moment. That was like a 4%er, I think. Yep. Okay, well, 71st manages to complete the block. Anyway, we'll get to this game in just a second. But what Japanese players do, especially Kithara, they very often block. They make partial blocks, but they do a lot of them. Maybe in one place they commit you to 50%. In another place they commit you to a different 50%. And then in the third place they might even commit you to a 75%, which so they will still give you relatively good odds of getting your meeple back, but they will delay the moment when you get your meeple back. So I once lost a game against Kitara when he committed my meeple to a 70% chance of getting it back. And I thought, why would he do that? Because he almost kind of saved me. But then the thing, what this does is that in 20% of games, which is one every 4 games, you create very serious problems for that opponent. And there was a lot of things depending on that tile, because I had a field meeple connection plus a road that would be completed, and I ended up getting never. I ended up just getting never getting this tile, and didn't having the chance. So it's a very interesting strategy that they would do, not so much blocks, but very often delays. They try to just keep your meeple here for a little bit longer. They try to play the probabilities a lot, and I think based on their timing, they definitely must know something about the math part of the game that I don't. It's almost that they are, you know, eh, yeah, I don't know. Something interesting very going through their mind with the blocks, but that's definitely these games should be studied, and I'm also trying to incorporate that lately in my playing style. See how partial blocks can work for me. Anyway, let's get back to this. So, Pintatron with an advantage over here, two blocked meeples, 1-1-2-1, but Pintatron has extra 5 points in comparison. Well, he has 8 over 71st 3 points. So this will be forever a 5 point advantage. And so basically, like, this mini battle was won by Pintatron, and let's see if it's wins in the game. What 71st has going for him is that he has a sizable lead of 17 points, and also he has this monastery over here, which is quite close to completion, not very blockable. This nice city over here. Well, Pintatron probably now thinking whether to attack or to join, and ooh, I like this. You see, like, this is the kind of moves that I didn't thought he would do, but he did. And this is I think to actually to play the tile like this city with a crossroads, and put it up and not meeple it, is one of his signature blocking attempts. Because the thing is, even though you leave an empty city cap, you actually don't have to meeple the city necessarily, because the completion of this small city would not benefit the side that has this meeple trapped over here. So in order to take this free cap, 71st would have had to complete this city first and then take the cap. But the chances of doing that are lower than Pintatron simply drawing another city tile over here. And also the thing is, had 71st not drawn this tile over here, Pintatron would have gotten value of this tile, and with tempo, so you could have put your meeple over here and start an attack. Well, now he just put his meeple over here. He didn't start an attack because 71st managed to complete the city, but that was not a given. So I think this is very instructive, because so he ended up spending. So like the situation was pretty much the same as it was, but he ended up spending less tiles on this, which is why he put this meeple. So he got to put his first field meeple first. He got to do something else with this tile. I really like this move, and I actually gotta remember it. Now 71st, of course, trying to connect to this field. I've noticed an interesting. No, I have to. So much stuff going on. Okay, what does our teammates say? Teammates say that someone wins against progressive top line. I mean, let's just look at that top tab real quick just to check what the score was. Yeah, 34 point difference. Nothing that some progressive top line could have done, and then someone just ended up. Yeah, as I said, he. So by the way, also quite instructive when you're ahead. So he left the big field untouched, even though it was 15 points, and he just ended up scoring points elsewhere. Um, as opposed to last game when progressive top line had the lead, and he ended up fighting for the big field instead of scoring points and giving the opponent chances and losing the game. So, of course, this game had a huge part, but overall, I think that was a deserved duel win for someone. I felt that he was a little bit more precise already. So it's 1-1, and it's going to come down to this now. 71st manages to connect to the field quite easily. Also, I don't know who put this style, but it is really beneficial for, I don't know, for home. Probably it's more beneficial for Pindatron because Pindatron is at a meeple disadvantage, not for long perhaps, because he has his open cities. And he will finish them soon. But still, this was a platform for 71st to connect to the field over here. And it looks like a really interesting field with potentially 12 points if this hole gets filled. Pintatron, by the way, now managed to equalize. That's what he does. Very often, what happens with top players, like why most top players are top players, it's not necessarily the games where they get the advantage, hold on to it, or they just outplay the opponent. I think most top players are very good at not giving up and just finding those 25, 30, 35% chances of taking risks and winning the game with a comeback. So we might as well see a comeback here from Pentatron. Also, someone is very good at comebacks. He will really not give up until the last tile. So now, for example, what we see over here, I think he might, if he manages to complete this block over here, he might as well turn this around. Because if 71st gets the city cap, he takes a meeple and 8 more points, and that will be a lead that is not that easy to surmount. On the other hand, we gotta remember that Pintatron has cemented the +5 over here. So what really we should be seeing on the scoreboard is kind of 27/25. So he has the lead, sort of. And then also he has this gigantic road, which is difficult to connect to. Now he's going to finish it, I think, unless he'll go for 3 points. Not sure what's the correct thing here. Probably this. All right. Artur Kantrabayev wins against Coco Traps. So there's going to be a decider in that game as well. So it now just got interesting. Pintatron probably will grab 4 points, I think. I don't think there is too much pressure to take off this field meeple, by the way. Oh, no, this city meeple off. All right, so it's 1-1 and 5-4. So Russia coming back at it. Yeah, anything could happen still. Oh, I'm really surprised by this move from Pintatron. Like, apparently he must know something that I don't. But no, I'm very surprised by this move. Because the thing is, like, if here's the thing. Like, if that was a 500 rated ELO player, I would have just gone and on. I would have just gone on and on, starting to criticize. Oh, like, too impatient, and why not take the 4 points over here? You gotta go for more value and stuff. But because that's overall champion, apparently he has to know something that I don't. But yeah. So that's what happens. And now actually Pintatron with clear advantage. Oh my. 71st has this small field over here. By the way, another something about 71st is that he loves field. He will, he will fight for the death, and he might lose the game, but he will win the field for sure. That's something that I've found him do. Well, on the bright side, this means that if the field is actually important, then he will win the game against you. But there was a very interesting game from the quarterfinals round where the 71st got himself in quite a lot of trouble against our team captain Mujacello. That was the decider game between them two. I think you can find it in the archives and look at it. That was also very instructive, where he went so far as to place his last meeple on a field, to put it in a field fight like 40 tiles before the end, and then he ended up not getting his meeples back for a long time, and Mujacello just kept getting points elsewhere, and then also winning the field anyway. But yeah, so what this means for this game is that he will definitely not give Pintatron an easy time in securing this field over here. Now he definitely must be thinking in how he's going to either block his connection or maybe connect through somewhere else. Wow, interesting move. Good move actually takes a city that can be completed. Most importantly, um, and also he blocks the blocking square a little bit, and this stuff is actually now almost unblockable. In order to block this, you would need two tiles like this. No, actually, no, you would need like two starting tiles. You put a starting tile over here and a starting tile over here. Um, Otherwise, you can only reduce it to 50%. Maybe you can put a monastery. Okay, so as I said, 71st will waste no time in fighting back for the field. I'm just wondering how much of a chance is he giving himself. 1, 2. So good thing about this is that it's an unblockable connection. Looks really good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 75%. Well, still, the odds are on his side, and as compensation, at the very least, he gets 3 points over here. Ideally, of course, he would want to put a different tile over here, maybe one that allows him expansion in case he doesn't get this connection. For example, a curve or a divider. On the other hand, the advantage of this tile over here is that he secures it from further connection from Pintatron. But the thing is, from Pintatron, I'm not sure he has to win this field in order to win the game necessarily, because he has this extra monastery and he has this extra 5 points advantage, and he has the extra meeples. Because the thing with this field over here, it's still going to be just 6 points, and it's going to be less than this monastery. So it's kind of a decent move, but then in order to justify it, you have to develop the field a little bit. The problem is that you don't really have time to do that, and it looks like there are not too many city caps left in the game because both dividers are out like this, and also maybe there's one of those still left. No, all these guys are out, so this field is going to be 9 points max. And also, when you have like a lot of small fields like this, you can't really kind of develop all of them, so your attention is a little bit scattered. Yeah. So, for example, this city is already worth 6 points, which is the same thing, but it has the chance of being continued and completed. So I'm wondering if that was a case of over farming here, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think still both players with quite an equal chance, although definitely Pintatron has the advantage over here, especially after he draws one of the two. Wow. And look at that. So Pintatron gave himself a 50-50 chance of connection, but 71st is lucky in drawing his game, his thing over here. I think the main thing that he might have done over here is not so much to try and connect his meeple to the field himself, but he realized that he was leading, and he just wanted to take this opportunity away from 71st. Also, didn't give him a chance to give to take easy points, and also he basically with this move gave himself a 50% chance of winning the game outright, because this move comes with 4 points extra value. Also, another thing that you consider when making this this moves over here, he had an insurance in form of this city, so now he gets at the very least 3 points, which is something that I try to do with fields a lot. Like if I want to fight for the field, and it's a relatively early stage of the game where you actually not sure about the actual win probabilities and you just focus on getting more points, I will try to find a spot that gives me insurance, which either has already 1 or 2 cities on them, or which has an opportunity to add cities to it. So if the connection gets blocked, well, like it did right now, then at the very least I have some form of compensation. Now, 71st will be looking for a curve here for sure, to add 3 points to his field. Are there still curves left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 50% chance of adding 3 points. And he also might end up needing the curve for something else. So, as I said, this field here looks like it could remain with 6 points, which is fine. It's offsetting one of these monasteries. This city is almost offsetting this city, because this is one of the bigger ones. I guess, and it might be finished. And I guess what 71st is doing now is he calculating how many tiles are there left, whether this city is still finishable, in which case would Pintatron would win the game outright. And then, so basically he's calculating whether it's worth to spend this tile on blocking. And this would be a complete block because 1, 2, 3, all these guys are out. On the other hand, it's such a nice city cap. And of course you wanted to add to your city, wow. And he does that. Because you want to add these 7 points over here if you get a city cap yourself. On the other hand, Pintatron, like the thing is, so first of all, we have to look at if there's still triangles left. If there's at least one triangle left, the correct move is to put here and get a 50% chance of completing the city and winning the game. Although it looks now that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are no triangles left, which means that 71st knew what he was doing. He knew that this city wasn't finishable. On the other hand, there is still a small advantage in the blocking, because now Pintatron at the very least can add 2 points for his city. But now if you put the city cap over here, if 71st would have put the city cap over here, he would have scored only 1 point. On the other hand, now Pintatron apparently calculated that there are no city caps left, and he had to spend this tile on preventing 71st from getting the points from this completed city, which is why I think if I were 71st, if there's a move that I like better than this to avoid this kind of thing. Either you turn the city cap the other way, or ideally you actually put it here. You put it here and turn it that way, and that way you're giving yourself actually a good chance. So if you draw the city cap, you get +7 points, and if the opponent gets a city cap, he gets +1 point. So of course, if your opponent draws the cap first, he gets the tile. He still gets like a slight advantage, but because you would be getting 7 points and the opponent would be getting 1 point, it's still a really profitable move to do like this. So wonder if 71st might have missed something. By the way, Pintatron draws another tile that 71st would have loved to put over here and get either 2 points for this and 3 points for this, or +5, or to meeple the monastery and get +3. All right, another 50-50 chance for 71st, but it's not going to work because Pintatron is going to block this right now, or maybe even. Here's the thing: he doesn't even have to block this because that was the last curve. So he doesn't even. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for 71st. He doesn't even have to spend the resources over here. So what he will end up doing, probably just recalculating the tiles and just adding the points of his monastery. I mean, of course, 71st had to risk over here, but you see, maybe, maybe not, because you see, if he had just turned the city cab the other way or placed it over here, now he could use this move to have the 7 points, and maybe still hope for the connection over here, which would probably secure him. Which would probably secure him the win anyway. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, unless I'm wrong, there's still a 50% chance. Unless you're like, you got to take the 50-50 against Pindatron, and I'm loving this move. What he takes insurance against the field connection, in which if 71st connect, he would have to add the 4 points. So maybe this sequence over here, maybe he didn't have to go all in just yet. Still, Pintatron a little bit fortunate with the draws, but you know. Now if you're 71st, I don't know, what do you do? So there's only one move left to be played. In which case he might grab, he might just hope for this straight line and not take the 2 points for a road, but just grab as many points as possible elsewhere. So maybe grab 3 points over here, or grab 3 points over here, or over here. There's no more than 3. That's kind of a lousy tile. But he got the 2 points. But the thing is now that when he gets the this thing. Oh, so there were no of these left. Maybe I miscounted. But then why do you do that? Then of course you had to hope for. Oh no, but then that was blockable. If you put it over here and try to do a field connection, then it was blockable. Oh, that's really unfortunate for him. Oh, that wasn't even the same field. Sorry, I'm hallucinating, guys. And Pintatron got the 50-50, and with that, probably the game. Yeah, with how many points? 11 points. So this means that if 71st connected over here, he would get 7 points less, but he would get, because he wouldn't get these 3, and he would get he would give the opponent these 4 points, but he would get for himself -3 plus 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 9. So actually, the thing is, what Pintatron made sure is that he with this insurance move like this, he gave himself 100% win probability, because even if 71st got this move, he wouldn't get enough points to win. That's actually, yeah. So he would only have 5 points more. So I was wondering what could have done in this situation. Maybe I think the crucial moment which I had to hope for is this city cap. Though that was a good move too. He was kind of hoping for this, but the thing is, maybe he could have done that with a different tile. So for example, if you just try to put this cap over here and score these points, maybe you get +7 if you're lucky, and then with this tile over here that he used to score the points over here, maybe he could have done like at a very last game if he realized that he was losing. Although it's tough to recommend something here. I mean, I think actually 71st played really well for the most part. He just happened to run into Pintatron, who I think just played really amazingly well this game. There were several crucial moves that he did. First of all, he was behind in points. Actually, his when 71st was completing his monastery, his situation was what looked very bad, but he managed to secure a very long road. By the way, that's something that Japanese players are really good at is long roads. If you look at their statistics, for example, at Keithera's statistic, he actually has, I think, 25 road points. Well, no, 21 average road points scored per game, which is one of the highest on board game arena. And this means that these guys really pay attention to roads a lot. Then what ended up happening is that Pintatron had features that offset 71st field. Look at this: 7 points over here versus 6 points over here. And this city, 8 points over here versus 6 points over here. So this is the thing with farming, is that very often these 6 field points remain 6 point fields, and then the opponent can just score elsewhere. But I think there were three crucial moves that really won Pintatron the game, that were, I think, really spectacular. Is this over here? He managed to take this field with tempo. Many players would be tempted to just start fighting for the city and turn this cap that way. He didn't meeple the city, but he put his meeple on the fields instead, thus forcing 71st to spend a little bit more tiles. So, for example, he had to invest this double city cap, the city splitter, which is such a valuable tile, onto field connection, and that was in fact the correct move. But Pintatron forced him to spend a valuable tile on something else, and he just ended up taking advantage of one of those city caps that 71st could have taken had Pintatron not taken the field first. Now, second thing, what was this field connection, this move of, and this move over here that managed to secure this spot from blocking. I think that was really nice. 71st came with a good move over here. Kind of got unlucky not getting his 75% chance, but that's part of the game. Another great move from Pintatron is this move over here. So gave himself a 50% chance of an absolute win, and also got compensation, and also prevented the opponent from extracting value from such a tile over here. Because had he not placed the threat of connecting the meeple, 71st would have gotten 4 points elsewhere. And I think what he did instead is ended up just extracting 2 points over here. And also this move came with an insurance. And finally, the icing on the cake was this move that gave him the 100% win probability, even if 71st joined the field at the end. Was this road over here, kind of forcing 71st to add 4 points to his road in the event of connection. So overall, I think really high level Carcassonne from both opponents. 71st definitely showed a great game, but Pintatron was slightly ahead, thinking slightly deeper. Yes, also got the 50-50 over here. Which was actually an unblockable spot. So he just had to get the 50-50, and then got the 75% chance over here. But no, part of the game. Anyway, great game. Congratulations to Pintatron, and well done 71st for putting such a battle. I know I've been talking a lot, but now there are like so many things going on. We have to watch a game. I know. Remaining games. Oh, great. Thank you so much, Ludocelis, for the link. Oshirimaru against Mikhail. I assume that's the decider? We can watch this. Oh, that probably has to be the Artur Kontrabayev one. Okay, which one do we watch? I don't know. Let's stay with Artur Kontrabayev. Yeah, it looks like this one's really going to be Oshirimaru's. So let's stay with this one. I probably need to update the score, but we don't have time for that. So Artur has the lead in this one, and a lot of field meeples. Oh, and even this little guy over here. And now this field is his. But on the other hand, Coco Traps has so many monasteries to offset this. Now, are there any city caps left to fill in this hole? 1, 2, 3. Oh, so this is still fillable. But now thank you so much. Okay, we should really update this score real quick. So many things are happening. 6-5, 6-5. All right, now back to this. So still, now when this hole gets filled, actually, maybe maybe Coco Trap's situation doesn't look that bad anymore because he gets 8 points over here. On the other hand, he will be giving 3 points to Artur Kantrabayev's field. Yeah, what if you're Artur Kantrabayev? What do you do? Do you take this and give your opponent a meeple? Probably not. I mean, you would be getting 7 points. You would be getting 7 points for this, but you would be giving no. You would but you would be giving your opponent 2 points. So this move is only +5, and you would also be giving him a meeple back. And the question is it possible to score more than 5 points with one meeple? And the answer is yes. I think if you take this rune over here with one of the remaining triangles, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's, I think, one remaining triangle to do this as well. So, I probably wouldn't give him the meeple just yet, although it's tempting. It's tempting. Maybe there isn't enough room to take the 5 points. I don't know. And I guess, I guess one thing that you have to consider is, will there be an opportunity for Coco Traps to fight for the field? And he doesn't. Yeah, so he just covers up this stuff. Now what Coco Traps probably will end up doing is grabbing 1 point over here. Well, it's 4 points, but really 1 point because Artur Kantrabayev's field, and creating a joining square just in case. On the other hand, that move doesn't really do much because you actually leave this empty city cap for your opponent. That's always the dilemma when you have when you get a divider like this, because so what do you do? Like, you have to do something with it, and on one hand, yes, 1 point is the thing, like what you do with it, but then you leave your opponent another city cap in his field. So depending on which tiles they're left, I'm not sure what the effect of this in the long run. But really, at those ends, at the end stage of the game, maybe for the last 20 tiles, once the situation is becoming a little bit more clear, when the plans are becoming more definitive, you normally start to shift your thinking from points to win probabilities. So the thing is, like, what Coco Traps needs to think is, like, what sequence of actions does he have to do in order to have a chance at winning this game? So first of all, can he win the game without the field? Will the monasteries will be enough? They are worth 23 points. Maybe that will be enough. On the other hand, Artur Kantrabayev has 9 points over here, so it's like 1 9 monastery. That's set. It's set in stone, and he also has this 8 points over here, which is like another monastery. So what really Coco Traps has, he just has one monastery, which is why he chooses to do a massive risk and start a field file, because maybe that's like maybe that's the only way for him. Yeah, so very often at the end of the game, when you're behind, you have to do something really risky because you don't want to be like, you don't want to play just to minimize the point difference. You really want to have, you need to have a non-zero chance of winning the game. So at the moment, he's really hoping for the last city cap over here, and he's hoping for a straight line. So yeah, so a lot of things need to happen for Coco Traps to win, but and that's it. So Japan wins. Japan wins 3-1. Congratulations, Japan, world champion again, showing that it was not an accident. And I guess let's just look real quick at what the final situation was. Surimaru wins quite sizably, and it looked like yeah. So what happened over here? It was one of those cases that were kind of tough to say. I guess one of these runes must have been decisive. I see Mikhail has a small fields, has a bunch of small fields. 3 points over here, this shared over here, 6 points over here, and so probably this was really where the game was, and just Ostrimaru ended up being having the upper hand in playing this field over here. So although here it looks like, ooh, so Coco Traps managed to get this. Will it be 4-1 and will it be 3-2? Great move from Artur Kontrabayev. He did not connect his meeple and didn't lose the 6 points. Instead, he prevented this field connection over here, which probably is going to win him the game. Also, Coco Traps managed to get a lucky draw over here and getting, I think, the last tile. Yes, the last tile that Artur Kontrabayev needed to complete the city and absolutely clinch the win. And now Coco has several options. He can either grab the 7 points over here, which is probably what he'll end up doing. He can take the city over here with a hope for a city cap and try some risky points, which is also, I think, something that's worth considering depending on which tiles are left. And he can complete his monastery just with the hope of having 2 remaining meeples to play. This I wouldn't do because you get to score 7 points. Ooh, field connection! No way. Is he gonna get it? That would be something. Because that's also the thing. I think he's really like playing well in terms of he probably assessed what he needs to win this game, and apparently this would have been enough, and this would have been enough. He decides, no, I need the field. Doesn't get it. I hope at least there was a curve in the deck. I hope he didn't miscount it or something. Though I still wonder, will it be enough if he takes this field? Okay, so there was a curve, and it'll be interesting. Did he actually give himself a 50% chance of winning this game? Yeah, he did. He gave himself less than 50% chance because there was this curve, but he also needed to get it before Coco Traps was before the connection. So that was a roughly not 25. I'm like it's somewhere between 25 and 50. I'm too lazy to calculate. I think around 32. But anyway, I think he gave himself a non-zero chance at winning the game, which is like a fantastic play at the end. Yeah, he ended up losing, but that was really good. I just want to check if the field would have been enough. Yeah, probably not. So the field was worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it was only worth 18 points. So with 18 more points and with this guy still having the 6 points, yeah, it was a very slim chance. But he did what he had to do. Yeah, congratulations to Artur Kontrabayev. Won against opponent that had, at least we saw him, and then he was making really good moves. But congratulations, Japan. I'd say very well deserved win. Yeah, the games that we saw from Pindutron, I thought were quite impressive, and the whole squad were showing some just stunning Carcassonne actually. Also, I'm very happy that this is 3-2. Also 7-6. I think it really reflects the closeness of this match and how the opponents actually were. Let me just update the score so that in case anybody's joining us right now, they get to see it. So that we know that the match is Japan world champion again. Yeah, and Russia vice champion again. So definitely these two have established themselves. Okay, I think let's just look at let's just leave this final situation over here because we have to have the player from the winning team on screen. So this is the game that got Japan the gold medals. Some small fields and big cities. Don't know what happened here, but I assume Oshirimaru did something. Probably did something good. Alrighty, 6. So this is probably going to conclude our stream now. Thanks so much for sticking around. I'm really happy that the games were so interesting today. Definitely both teams didn't disappoint and established themselves as the two strongest teams, two strongest Carcassonne countries on the planet right now. So we'll see what happens next year. Now, if there's anything, thank you very much, Wildschwein. Uh, that's a nice screen name. Yeah. So if anything interesting happened that we missed, please let me know. I'm happy to make a review video about it afterwards. But for now, I'm probably going to stay off for a while. Maybe post some review videos, but do some streams of the European Championship that is coming up in a few months. Yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. Thanks, Daniel. See you all next year. What a great championship! Congrats, Japan, again, and congrats again to Russia for the second place and for the valiant fight. Cheers! Thanks ever. Thanks everyone, and I will see you soon.